Hey there YouTube, Granny Gear here for Old Guy on a Bike. Just out for a quick evening spin in the local hills on the Alchemy Ti Project bike, the Ronin. And I thought I would talk a little bit about the custom bike process. You know, getting that one perfect bike you'll have all the rest of your life, spending half a fortune for it, getting it just the way you want it, just for you. That is the holy grail, isn't it, of most serious cyclists. But is that reality, or is that just fantasy? Is it worth all the time and trouble and guesswork for a custom bike? At least for most of the people out there riding, even serious riders. Well, spoiler alert, my answer is no. And if you want to hear why, watch the rest of the video. Meanwhile, I'm gonna go for a ride while we talk. Be back. Here I am on a pretty near 100% custom, fairly expensive titanium gravel bike that was made for dimensions that I worked with the manufacturer on, geometry, right? The parts that I wanted on there. I mean, why isn't that something we would aspire to? Good question. For instance, my custom handmade steel road bike, my Kurtlo. The video, I'll link that below if you guys haven't seen that. It's a simple steel road bike. I did a video on it that was actually really well received. I worked with the builder who I'd known for years, and we worked together and got all the angles and dangles and things the way I wanted them. And it is truly my favorite road bike I've ever owned. It works so well. We made one small error. I wish the head tube was that much shorter, that much, you know. But that's because over time my position has changed a little bit. I've gotten a little bit lower, a little further forward. But other than that, it's been an amazing bike. It was a fabulous process. But was it necessary? Well, no, the answer, it wasn't necessary. But it has turned out really well. But here's the thing. I knew what I wanted. And I knew what it would feel like when I got it. At least I was pretty sure. And you know what? I was right. But the average cyclist, even one who's been riding for quite a while, I would go as far as to say they really don't know what they want. They probably haven't ridden enough bikes, thought about it enough, or have the skills to figure out if I change this and that, it'll be better for me. Now, they may know they're not as comfortable as they'd like to be, and things like that. But I think it's a unique group of people that really have come to understand what a custom bike can bring to you, besides the other benefits. And what other benefits are those, you say, Granny Gear? Well, there's other reasons to do a custom bike besides whether it fits you or whether it performs the way you want it to. Sometimes you do it just because you just want to own it, right? And that's fine. Maybe you've always wanted a Moots or something, right? And you don't really need the custom process to fit you. You're a pretty normal guy or gal. However, this is a boutique bike. It can get your name written on it, right? Stenciled in or something. You can choose the parts you want on it. The wheels you always wanted, the shifting parts you want, all of that. You can have it custom painted or etched. You know, the world's your oyster in that kind of environment. So a lot of times the reason for custom or semi-custom is just because you just want that bike that you've held up as something that you think is beautiful and desirable, and you just want it. And that's okay. So now, let's take a minute let's look at some of the information and some of the numbers that I had, because remember, I was building this to compare to my Linsky GR250. That's a gravel bike I've used for 5 years or so now, with really good results. And what I wanted to do, if I was able to, with this Ti Ronin, I wanted to use what I liked about the Linsky, bring it into the Ronin project, but just add some spice. There's that word, that spice word. Add some spice. I wanted, if I could, you know, the Linsky is super, it's very stable. It's a great all-purpose gravel bike. It's not exactly thrilling to ride, but if I could get just a little bit more zing when I pedaled it, a little more response, and still keep some of the nice ride and that stability, then that's what I would go for. And that's what I aim for with the Ronin. Did I get it? Well, we'll be talking about that in the third video where we wrap everything up. But I think I came pretty close, but I missed the mark by quite a bit in one area, and we'll talk about that later. Okay, so looking at this slide, you can see I'm comparing 3 bikes against the Grail Ti Ronin at the bottom there. I have my Linsky GR250, I have the stock Ronin from Alchemy, and the stock Lycos from Alchemy. And I'm looking at 6 dimensions: reach, stack, bottom bracket drop, chainstay length, head tube angle, seat tube length. So what we did, Alchemy and I, we looked at the stock Ronin and realized it was a little far in reach, a little low in stack. I wanted a little bit more bottom bracket drop. I wanted to be just basically a little lower to the ground, a little longer, and a little higher as far as me sitting. And basically, the stock Lycos geometry, if you look at it, is very, very close to my GR250, just slightly on the sportier side. It's a little bit higher from the ground, tiny bit shorter, but still a little bit longer in reach and a little lower in stack. So what we did is we basically overlaid the Lycos geometry on the Grail Ti Ronin, and then slightly increased the stack and shortened the reach ever so much, just so we would get the numbers we wanted for the cockpit fit, and hopefully get handling that was just slightly sportier than the GR250. Now this is the final CAD drawing that I got from Alchemy that lays out all the numbers of the Ti Ronin project frame. You can see there's a whole lot of detail going on here: head tube height, wheelbase, there's just angles and all kinds of stuff. And you know, we've already done a lot of math here, and math is hard, so I'm not going to go into all those details. But anyway, this is an example of what you would get, and the kind of you would sign off on that saying, yes, this is blessed and wonderful, and please make my bike. So the answer to the question, is a custom bike worth it? How do you turn that no to a maybe or a yes? Well, I think there's some things to consider strongly before you think about writing the check. One is, do you know what you want? If you are unhappy with any bike you've ridden, if you have a clear understanding of why that is, then that's a pretty good reason to move forward. Secondly, if you're looking for a custom bike, find a builder that speaks your language. Have a feeling that they understand your needs. Make sure you don't go to a race-focused builder to build an exploration bike, or vice versa. Make sure you feel like you're being listened to and they're considering your ideas. And this is something else your builder should do for you. They should tell you when you're wrong, because what you think would be right for you, well, a good builder has more experience than you, and they can steer you clear of making a terrible mistake. Because here's the thing, you could do it wrong. You could spend a lot of money, get a bike that when you're done and you're riding it, you're not really happy with it. Maybe it's too stiff. Maybe it doesn't handle the way you expected. Could be all kinds of things that didn't turn out right. So it can go expensively wrong. So make sure that the builder you chose has the ability to steer you away from, you know, the rocks along your shoreline. Now before you say, hey Granny Gear, you are a custom bike wet blanket party. Well, it wasn't my intention. Listen, if that's something you really want to do, if you really see a need to do it, then go do it. Life is short. And if you can afford it, if it's not a hardship, and you've got a bike that you would just love to own and love to ride, and it's handmade by somebody just for you, and has the parts on it that you want, and you've worked out the details to where it's not going to be a disaster, go buy the bike. It's a short life. You can only fit so many bikes into it. Well, I don't know. Maybe you can fit a lot of bikes into it. But if that one bike is still calling to you, ride it and smile. You guys have a great week. See you on the next video. Granny Gear out for Old Guy in a Bike. Meanwhile, I'm going that way. Guys, take care.